Have you ever had someone do something unexpectedly kind for you, especially when you didn't ask for it? Maybe you were going through a tough time and a friend showed up with a meal, or someone volunteered to help with a project when you were overwhelmed. I remember a time when I was struggling with something very personal in my life, and out of nowhere, a friend of mine lended a hand in my life. She not only sent over flowers to me, but also some yummy cookies to help make me feel better. And not only that, but she came to be with me, not to try to snap me out of my grief or the thing that I was dealing with, but simply just to be present with me. I hadn't asked for it, but her willingness to help lift this weight off my shoulders, even if for a moment, it deepened our friendship. Isn't it amazing how simple acts of service can change a relationship? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sherry and I'm a creative manager and a Bible teacher who loves to dig into God's Word and to help us understand how we can better love our neighbor in every part of our lives. In Galatians 5:13, we're called to serve one another humbly in love. But what does that really look like? And why does it matter? Serving with humility doesn't always come naturally, especially with people we might not see eye to eye with. But when we help put others' needs above our own, something powerful happens. It's a way to love like Jesus did, selflessly and with no strings attached. So let's break this down. What is selfless love? Selfless service means doing something for someone simply because they need it. It's not about making ourselves look good or expecting something in return. It's about a way of seeing, I see you, and I care about you. When people see us willing to put their needs above our own, it can break down barriers, and even with those we disagree with. It creates a foundation of kindness and respect, and instead of self-focusing on our own actions and our own self, we become other-focused. One of the best examples that we have is when Jesus washed his disciples' feet. In John 13, we see this, and we see that the Son of God kneeled down just to wash the feet of his disciples. This job was often given to the lowest servant within the household, but Jesus humbled himself and displayed through his actions what true servanthood looked like. Let's read this. John 13 begins, "It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. This evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had to put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, 'Lord, why are you washing my feet?' Jesus replied, 'You don't realize now what I'm doing, but later you will understand.' 'No,' said Jesus, 'you shall never wash my feet.' Jesus answered, 'Unless I wash you, you have no part with me.' 'Then, Lord,' Simon Peter said, 'not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well.' Jesus answered, 'Those who have had a bath only need to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you.' For he knew one was going to betray him, and that was why he had said not every one was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. 'Do you understand what I have done for you?' he asked them. 'You call me teacher and Lord, and so rightly, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set an example for you that you should do as I have done for you. Verily, truly, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." According to the Jewish laws and traditions, as it pertained to the role of the teacher and his followers, this action was unthinkable. That he, the master, the teacher, would wash his own disciples' feet. The act of humble service was revolutionary, and Jesus showed us that no one is above serving one another. and that true love is rooted in humility and compassion. Now, serving others doesn't have to be complicated or grand. Sometimes the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact. And here are a few ways that you can serve others today. The first way is to help them with a task. Offer to help a coworker with a project, or assist a neighbor with yard work, or run an errand for a friend who's overwhelmed. Second thing is bring a meal. Food has a special way of comforting people. If you know someone is going through a tough time, bring them a meal, a snack, or even a cup of coffee and spend time with them. The third thing you can do is send an encouraging note. The words can lift people up. Take a few minutes to write a quick note of encouragement or gratitude for someone. A little kindness can actually make someone's day. And honestly, my story in the beginning, simply having someone be with me, their presence with me, the listening ear that I could cry to and just share my worries, my depression, and the things that I was dealing with, that meant so much to me. And it can be a wonderful way to serve someone else in a season that is difficult. Simply your presence with them. Service doesn't need to be a big production. It's about noticing, though, that people have needs around us and choosing to step in when we can, especially those who might be difficult to love. The next thing that we have to do is we have to serve without an agenda. Now, here's an important part about serving. We have to serve without an agenda. Jesus served his disciples without an agenda, and we have to do likewise. True service expects nothing in return, but it's easy to serve someone hoping that maybe they'll do the same thing for us if we're in the same situation. But that's not what we're called to do. Genuine service is a gift with no strings attached. It's about giving without expecting anything back. Jesus didn't wash his disciples' feet hoping that they would do the same thing to him. He served them because he loved them, and he wanted to show them that love is humble and is selfless. When we serve others, even if they don't respond the way we hope, our heart behind it is what matters. And acts of kindness, even in the midst of arguments, they can come from a genuine place of love. So here's my challenge for you this week. Look for a small way to serve someone you disagree with, or with maybe someone that you might have some tension with right now. How can you serve them? It doesn't need to be big. It might be just an encouraging text that's saying that you're praying for them, a small favor for them, or helping them with a task. Even if the other person never notices or thanks you, remember that God sees what you're doing. Sometimes love in action says what words can't even portray. Serving others may not always be easy, and in fact, I'm going to guarantee it's probably not going to be easy many times. But it's one of the most powerful ways we can live out our faith and break down barriers. So let's go out there and love like Jesus did, one act of kindness at a time. And remember, true love is humble, selfless, and doesn't ask for anything in return. It's not greedy, it's not prideful, it's not filled with ego, and it doesn't spew hate. It's love. That is the biggest act of kindness. And that's the biggest true indication of a Christ follower, is through love. Yes, we will make mistakes sometimes, and I've made my fair share of mistakes in not loving in the way that I am supposed to love. And there are many times where I sit here and I think back to those times and I wish I could take it back. But I also know that where my heart is, and I know that I want to do better, and I'm trying to do better each and every day. And so I try in everything that I do. And even though I'm not perfect, I try to say words that encourage, that uplift, that show love, and serve, asking nothing in return. And that's what living in this beloved life today is. It's loving others the way you have been loved. And I want you to remember you are loved. So go out and be the beloved. Live as the beloved every day and radiate God's love wherever you go. Until next time, my friends, let's keep serving others and let's show others who Christ is through our love.